Hello everybody, it's Norm. I'm out in our garage and I wanted to do a video of how we organize all the collectibles that we've been getting over the years. So what I did was I decided, well, a lot of this stuff was originally in the basement, and Peggy's been collecting Pyrex and ice lip pitchers and other things, and they were all needed to be put in the laundry room. So a lot of this vintage decorations we had, I decided to pick up some bins at Target, different size ones, and I got the depth so I could have 2 deep and 3 single ones, or 1 big and 1 small. And once I got that sorted out for the height and all that, I know what the shelf needed to be. Went over to Menards and I bought 1/2-inch plywood, 2x4s, some chains and hooks, and I made a framework all the way around it with 2x4s, and then the chains going up into the ceiling. I cut this out because we have a crawl space for our attic of our garage. And this is one section here, and this is another section over here. And what I did was I hung chains in the back wall, and I got these hung up on the one end with help of Peggy a little bit. And once we got them suspended and draped down in the back of the wall here, then I was able to swing these up and hold them while Peggy hooked up the chains in the front. And after that, I was able to bolt them to the wall and screw them together too and all that. I just use screws, not bolts. Probably wondering why we have so many of these candy baskets for kids. If you notice this one here, pumpkin with the black head, it's actually a solar light, and you put them on a post and stick them in your ground along the walkway. In our backyard where we have a water garden, I've got a bunch of posts out there, wood ones, that I use for when we drag the hose down. It will protect the flowers along the edge as you go around the back of the pond to water. So when these lights are out there and outside, the sun generates the rechargeable batteries in them, and it makes the pumpkin head glow. So with all different colors and everything, and we've got a split rail fence out in the front along the driveway too, I'll mount all of these on the top of the posts, put these lamps in there, and then at night they're all looking up at the house with all the crazy faces. And we got another row of shelving over here too. And everything's labeled for the different holidays, Valentine's, Easter. Got a lot of ornaments for our 8-foot aluminum pom-pom Christmas tree, which we'll be putting up and doing a video of at some point in time. Decorating, so this helps a lot. While I'm on this wall, I was going to show you something down here. I have a shop vac, and shop vacs are extremely noisy. So I was fortunate to have our garage wall here butt up to the laundry room downstairs. So I cut a hole in the wall, and I stick the hose all the way through, and you can see it goes up there. And you can vacuum downstairs by turning this vacuum on with a switch in the basement. And all the noise is out in the garage, so that really helps. And then if I want to use the vacuum out here, I have another switch on the wall. It was kind of crazy when I had to wire this up. Unfortunately, I didn't kill myself doing it, but I got the wiring right. So I can turn the vacuum on either up here in the garage or downstairs in the basement. That's just a neat little feature to keep the noise out of the laundry room down there, because these things are really, really loud. That hose is very long too. I hang it up on a post down there on the wall next to the dryer. Moving over to this wall, I wanted to show you what I did for another project too. And I made a display case for decorating a window we put in the wall on the other side of the house here. Let me walk outside first and I'll show you what I'm getting at. Beautiful day here in Minnesota. We resided the house, and when we did that, this wall did not have a window in it. It was solid all the way up and kind of boring. And I like decorating just outside as much as Peggy does inside. So I cut a hole in the sheetrock in the garage and bought a window for it, put these shutters on, and I use this as a display window for the mostly Halloween, Easter, and Christmas. And it's lighted inside, so it's really fun. Halloween, we put a lot of decorations in here. We've got a lot of pumpkins sitting outside. And the kids come, and the parents will say, you know, we come from several blocks away because we hear you got this display window that's all decorated up for Halloween. Spooky music playing. I got a strobe light in the garage. Our garage door has windows up and top, so at night the whole top of the garage windows are flashing on and off. Looks like a laboratory going on inside. Getting back to this case, it's all white because I just repainted it, cleaned it up, and I got shelving down below here for odds and ends of stuff. You always have so much stuff in the garage to a catch-all. And underneath here I've got a outlet for all the blow molds to plug in. And I've got it wired up to a timer over here, so I can set it up so it'll turn the lights on and off. And then I've got a power cord hanging down here that supplies power from an outlet in the ceiling. The door of this cabinet has a hinge across the top, a piano hinge is what they call it, and it helps support the door. And if I open it up and give you a sneak peek inside, you can see that I have LED lights across the top there. Each light has 2 rows, and I can have a switch to set for 1 row for each fixture or both. And then I got another outlet hanging there if I want to put in a red bulb or an orange bulb for Halloween or Christmas or whatever. And what I do is I have styrofoam down here, different thicknesses, and I can make levels for the size of the blow mold, so you can have some higher up. And for like Halloween, I'll put a purple cloth down here with glitter on it, and then I'll set all blow molds in there, and we got hooks in the ceiling to hang some spooky faces and other things down. And it looks pretty nice when it's all lit up at night. I'm going to close this down now. I'm using my head to support it, but I've got supports where I can put a screw in there to hold it tight. When I actually put that window in first, all I had was a shelf against the wall, and it was a curtain behind it just to close it off so they couldn't see all the crud in the garage. But it's okay for Halloween when you have a bunch of dead spiders and mosquitoes in the window display, because it gives a little ambiance. But it looked a little tacky too, so I decided to take that shelf out and using 2x4s build in this framework, and they're just sitting on the ground on the floor for supports. So that gives us a lot of space for displaying all these crazy things over here in this cabinetry I have. Give you a little sneak peek. We got a lot of different stuff for Halloween. And over here we've got a bunch of blow molds for Christmas. And I don't want to get into tip my hand too much because I'll show you some videos at some point in time where we have that set up. And in the summertime, Peggy's got a collection of decorative bottles that we'll put in there just on a white cloth too. Over here on the wall, since I'm out here, I have some Burwood plaques. And they're really elaborate and they're not too expensive. Got one way up there that can't quite see all that well, but it's just stuff that I picked up along the way. Got a notice here about a problem with our doorbell. And moving on down the line, I picked these ducks up in an antique shop just recently, and I got them really cheap, so that's kind of cool. This is a fish with some temperature, humidity, barometer, and all that. They work, but anyway. This print over here reminds me of a gentleman I knew when I was a kid. My folks would take my sister and I up to a resort, Nisswa Beach Resort. It was on the southeast corner of Nisswa Lake. This was on one of the lakes on the Gull Lake chain, and this was at the other end of the chain. And there was this gentleman here. His name was Joe, and he would come up, and it would just be coincidence that we'd be up there staying over a weekend or whatever in one of the 10 cabins they had. He and his wife would come up in their Cadillac. He had a 5-horse Johnson motor that he had in the back of his caddy, and he'd put it on a resort boat and go out fishing a lot. And he was a very nice gentleman, fun to talk to, but he had this red shirt and cap, just like it. It's almost like a picture of him out there and fishing in it. And I caught a lot of northerns along the shore, which was close, kind of like what the scene is portraying here too. Moving on down the line, these are some wood pictures Peggy and I started making as a hobby and turned into a small part-time business. I would take laminated oak on 1/8" plywood, and I'd take a piece of masonite and cut the picture to the size. Peggy would draw these patterns. Peggy has a God-given talent of being able to draw and also display, as you know from her videos inside the house. She's very good at showing how things should be displayed, but she can draw in oil paint, watercolors, chalk, pencil, anything you can think of. My dad was an artist at the Star Tribune for many years, and he was a newsroom artist, and we draw cartoons and stuff like that for the different sports guys, but I can't draw a circle, so I don't have this talent at all. But what I would do is Peggy would draw a pattern, I would trace it on with carbon paper, and I'd use the lines on the jigsaw to cut all these pieces out. I'd take each individual piece, I'd sand the edges down so they were rounded. Once it was all done, I would clean it off and give it to Peggy, and she would stain the different pieces, like the roof of the barn, the shutters, and the basic layout of the picture. And then I'd glue it down with Elmer's glue onto the masonite, and in the meantime I'd be making an oak frame to finish it off. And once it dried, Peggy would take over again, and she'd paint in all the details, the flowers, the pigs, the chickens, the cows, the apples, the stones on the silo. Whatever that happened to be the picture of, she would do all that. And once that was all done and dried, I'd spray it with Krylon. And this picture is back from the 1980s, and you can see it's still holding up quite well. We sold a lot of these over the summer months in antique shops and some galleries, art galleries. And there was an art gallery in Nisswa called Windsong Gallery. And the husband and wife that ran that, they let us put these pictures in their gallery, along with some photographs I did of some loons, close-ups of loons on the water. And we did quite well. We did $5,000 to $6,000 a summer up there selling. We have just tons of photographs of all the patterns that Peggy made. And let's go over to this wall. This is where my workbench is. I'm not going to get it down below because it's just full of crud and stuff, but I like boats and boating, and more of these Burwood plaques. These are really fun. I've got one of these down in the basement on the wall in my office down there, where I'm going to do a video of my room tour. And these plaques are really cool. They're three-dimensional, of course. So I love all that. Here's another one over here. little creek scene with a kid fishing in the stream and a water wheel. Over here we got a covered bridge. That's another plaque, so. And just have them out in the garage. Got to fill up the space with something, you know. Well, it's 90 degrees in Minnesota today, and we're going to have a whole week of 90-degree weather, so it's going to be hot, hot, hot. Thanks for your time. Bye now.